On August 28, 2025, the small town of Walton, Kentucky, was winding down after another hot summer day. Nestled in Boone County, Walton is the kind of place where neighbors know each other and the pace of life is slow and familiar. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of purple and gold as the community prepared for a quiet evening. At the Town Creek Crossing Apartments, residents were settling in for the night. Porch lights flickered on, and the gentle hum of crickets filled the air. For most, it was just another peaceful night in Walton, a time to relax, unwind, and enjoy the comfort of home. Families gathered in living rooms, sharing stories and laughter. Children played outside, their carefree voices echoing through the courtyard as parents watched from nearby benches. There was a sense of safety here, a feeling that nothing bad could ever happen in their close-knit community. But as the clock neared 10 p.m., an uneasy stillness began to settle over the apartments. The familiar comfort of the night was about to be disrupted in a way no one could have anticipated. Two Boone County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the complex, tasked with serving a felony warrant. For them, it was supposed to be a routine assignment, one of many they had handled before. The deputies moved with quiet confidence, their training guiding every step as they approached the apartment door. Unbeknownst to them, the night was about to take a dramatic turn. The calm professionalism with which they carried out their duty masked the danger that was lurking just beyond the threshold. Suddenly, the flashing lights of police cars pierced the darkness, casting an eerie glow over the quiet neighborhood. Residents peered through their windows, sensing that something was terribly wrong. In a matter of moments, what began as a simple police duty escalated into a violent confrontation. Shouts rang out, and the sound of chaos shattered the night's tranquility. The calm that had defined the evening was gone, replaced by confusion and fear. Deputies found themselves in a fight for their lives, while residents watched in disbelief as their peaceful community was thrown into turmoil. The events of that night would leave a deep mark on Walton. The sense of security that once enveloped the neighborhood was shattered, replaced by questions and heartache. For many, the memory of that night would linger long after the police tape was removed. What was meant to be a routine call had turned into a desperate struggle for survival, a night that would forever change the lives of those involved and the community of Walton itself. The deputies were at the apartments to serve a felony child support warrant for Justin Chapman. They followed protocol, announcing themselves and preparing for a standard arrest. After no response, they breached the door, expecting compliance, not violence. Instantly, they were met with a barrage of gunfire. Chapman, barricaded and armed, ambushed the deputies from a fortified position. The entryway became a kill zone, and the officers were caught off guard. Both deputies were hit, forced to retreat under heavy fire. Their mission shifted from arrest to survival in seconds. The quiet complex had become a war zone. The deputies' training and gear were all that stood between them and tragedy. Gravely wounded, the deputies found themselves in a life-or-death struggle, their bodies racked with pain and adrenaline surging through their veins. In those critical moments, every second counted, and their years of training kicked in almost automatically. Instinct and experience guided their actions as they desperately sought cover, dodging further gunfire and trying to stay out of the shooter's line of sight. The chaos of the scene was overwhelming, but their focus remained razor-sharp: survive and help each other survive. Despite their injuries, one deputy managed to reach his partner, dragging him to a safer position behind a patrol car. Their bond, forged through years of working side by side, became their lifeline in those harrowing minutes. As backup units arrived, the deputies' ordeal was far from over, but hope began to flicker. Fellow officers, risking their own safety, rushed to the scene. Amid the chaos, sirens blaring, radios crackling, and the threat still looming, they provided life-saving first aid, applying pressure to wounds and calling for medics. The crime scene was a blur of movement and urgency. The deputies' bulletproof vests, standard issue but often taken for granted, proved absolutely vital. The protective gear absorbed much of the impact, preventing what could have been fatal injuries and giving the deputies a fighting chance. Within minutes, emergency medical teams arrived on the scene. Paramedics worked quickly and efficiently, stabilizing the wounded deputies and preparing them for transport. The flashing lights of ambulances cut through the night as they sped toward the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, every moment critical. As word of the shooting spread, shockwaves rippled through the community. News outlets reported live from the scene, and concerned citizens gathered, anxiously awaiting updates. The sense of fear and uncertainty was palpable, casting a heavy shadow over Boone County. At the hospital, doctors and nurses sprang into action. The emergency room became a hive of activity as medical teams worked urgently to treat the deputies' wounds. Their expertise and quick decisions made all the difference, and soon both deputies were declared stable, their conditions no longer life-threatening. Relief washed over their families and colleagues, who had waited in agony for news. The deputies' survival brought a glimmer of hope to a night otherwise filled with fear and uncertainty. Their resilience inspired those around them, reminding everyone of the strength found in unity and support. In the days that followed, one deputy was released from the hospital quickly, greeted by cheers and embraces from loved ones. The other, though more seriously injured, made a steady recovery and was soon discharged as well. Both were expected to make a full recovery, a testament to their determination and the care they received. Their courage and resilience became a rallying point for the Boone County Sheriff's Office. The deputies' ordeal was a stark reminder of the dangers law enforcement faces, but also of the bravery and commitment that define their service. Even as the deputies recovered, the focus of law enforcement shifted back to the tense and dangerous standoff still unfolding nearby. The threat was not yet over, and officers remained on high alert, determined to bring the situation to a safe resolution. In the aftermath, the community rallied around its deputies, showing gratitude and support in countless ways. Their survival became a symbol of hope and resilience, uniting Boone County in the face of adversity. The suspect, 39-year-old Justin Chapman, was no stranger to law enforcement. His name was well known among local authorities, and his face was a familiar one in police stations. Over the years, Chapman had accumulated a series of legal issues that kept him on the radar of law enforcement. He had a history of legal troubles, including multiple warrants for unpaid child support. These warrants were just the tip of the iceberg, as his legal battles extended into various other areas, creating a complex web of issues that he struggled to navigate. Chapman was an Army veteran, reportedly struggling with PTSD. His time in the military had left him with deep emotional scars, and the transition back to civilian life had been anything but smooth. The challenges he faced were compounded by his mental health struggles. His record included domestic violence and protective order violations, painting a picture of volatility and personal struggle. These incidents highlighted a pattern of behavior that was both troubling and dangerous, not just for him, but for those around him. The deputies unknowingly walked into a situation with a desperate, troubled man. They were unaware of the full extent of his struggles and the potential for violence that lay beneath the surface. Chapman's violent response suggested he was prepared for a final confrontation. It was a tragic escalation of a life filled with unresolved issues and mounting pressures. His story highlights the tragic intersection of mental health, trauma, and the justice system. It underscores the need for better support systems for veterans and individuals struggling with mental health issues. The events of that night were the culmination of years of unresolved issues. Each incident, each legal battle, and each moment of personal struggle had built up to this tragic point. It was a somber reminder of the dangers officers face and the complexities behind every call. The story of Justin Chapman serves as a poignant example of the intricate and often heartbreaking realities that lie behind the headlines. After shooting the deputies, Chapman barricaded himself in a bedroom, triggering a tense standoff. Law enforcement from multiple agencies locked down the area, evacuating residents and calling in SWAT. Negotiators tried to reach Chapman, but hours passed in silence. SWAT deployed gas canisters, hoping to force him out. Still, no response. With no movement, officers used a drone to safely check inside. The drone revealed Chapman unresponsive on the bedroom floor. SWAT made entry and confirmed he was dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The standoff ended not with surrender, but with another act of violence. Relief mingled with sorrow as the threat was finally over. The community faced the aftermath of a night they'd never forget. For residents, the night was terrifying. Gunfire erupted just outside their homes. Eliza Moore recalled hearing deputies announce themselves, then shots rang out, shattering the calm. Josh Steele witnessed officers carrying a wounded deputy, a scene of chaos and bravery. Parents feared for their children, realizing violence was just a wall away. The sense of safety in the complex was shattered, replaced by anxiety and disbelief. SWAT teams and police vehicles filled the neighborhood, deepening the fear. The psychological impact would linger long after the emergency lights faded. Residents struggled to process the trauma, their community forever changed. The scars left behind were invisible, but deeply felt. News of the shooting brought an outpouring of support for the wounded deputies. Kentucky's governor, attorney general, and local representatives all issued statements of solidarity. Law enforcement leaders credited the deputies' vests for saving their lives and promised a thorough investigation. Agencies across the region offered resources and peer counseling, strengthening the first responder community. The Coleraine Township Fire Chief and Tri-State Peer Support Team provided mental health support. The department drew strength from the overwhelming encouragement. The community's gratitude and unity became a foundation for healing. In crisis, the bonds among officers and neighbors grew stronger. The violence left deep psychological wounds for officers and residents alike. The Boone County Sheriff's Office prioritized mental health, offering counseling and peer support. Regional teams provided additional resources, recognizing the toll such trauma takes. For residents, experts advised self-care and open conversations about their fears. Dr. Edward Connor explained that feeling unsafe was a normal reaction, and seeking help was vital. The department supported not just the injured deputies, but all who responded that night. Recovery would require time, communication, and mutual support. The focus was on healing, not just moving on. The community and department committed to resilience and well-being. Together, they faced the long road to recovery. The events of August 28th left a permanent mark on Walton. 2 deputies survived a deadly ambush. The suspect's life ended in tragedy. The community responded with resilience, supporting each other and their police force. Residents showed gratitude, bridging fear with unity and small acts of kindness. The department reviewed the incident, prioritizing both safety and mental health. The story became a lesson in courage, teamwork, and the unpredictable nature of police work. Walton's recovery was built on strength and solidarity. The memory of that night serves as a reminder of both fragility and bravery. Walton moves forward, more united, more grateful, and forever changed.